You think so?
I like. There's something about coming back when you're pushed up against the wall, and that's what the Mets have done. And I think the difference maker for them is going to be Francisco Lindor. He is on an amazing run right now.
Absolutely. So, welcome everybody to Picked Off, the extension of the Gauntlet, which you guys can watch every Friday on Sideline Sports. Definitely going to have a great episode again this week. But first, we got to make our picks for the week. JJ, how are you tonight, man?
I'm tired, but I'm here.
And we already got Grizzler in the chat. What's up,
What's
Grizz?
up?
Thanks for tuning into the show.
How come
And our boy Jay will be joining us in a little bit. He's just doing confidential, talking about some baseball over on Sideline Sports. So I don't see any reason to put it on hold any longer. So we got the Denver Broncos going against the New Orleans Saints. Sean Payton returning to a place where he coached for many years and won a Super Bowl. JJ, what do you think about this game and this matchup that we have? And who do you have winning?
Honestly, it's a very intriguing matchup, but it's not intriguing in the sense of these teams are going to be doing damage. It's intriguing because these teams have talent. You just gotta watch them to see it. And I am gonna go with the Broncos because I think their defense is very strong, and I think their defense, with so much uncertainty, even though they did play well, they didn't really play too well, but they played against a divisional opponent. I think it's going to be a little too much for the New Orleans Saints. So I got the Broncos in this one.
I have the Broncos as well, and it was just announced that both Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed are going to miss this game. So the Saints are shorthanded at receiver. Cedric Wilson being like the main guy for them now, with also Taysom Hill is going to be out for this game. So the Saints are down a lot of guys, and Cedric Wilson's the only real guy on their team really that has real experience. You have an inexperienced quarterback going against a really good defense headlined by Patrick Surtain. So I fully expect this to be a win for the Broncos, and I think that defense is really going to be too much, and I think it's going to overwhelm the Saints. So I also have the Broncos winning. Next, pretty good matchup that we have, JJ, with the Texans taking on the Green Bay Packers in Green Bay. Two of the best young quarterbacks in the league, Jordan Love and CJ Stroud, going at it. What do you think about this matchup, and who do you think is going to win?
I was actually curious for your thoughts on this first. I was going to follow up from you.
I don't know. It's very hard for me to pick this game. I'm gonna go with the Packers just because they're playing at home, but it literally could go either way. I think this is a game that Nico Collins is really going to be missed for the Texans. So I think that's kind of gonna be the factor. Who's CJ gonna go to? Is Diggs gonna be able to do enough against the Packers defense? And what we saw from Jordan Love against the Cardinals, he was looking remarkable. He's looking like he's getting more comfortable every single game he gets back. The Packers have the home fans on their sides. I'll take Green Bay in a close one.
We're talking about the two guys that we looked at last year that were the ones that stand out as next best was Jordan Love, CJ Stroud. And now, of course, they're going to pit them up against each other. I'm very high on both of these teams, and I have been very high on the Packers throughout our time on our shows. I'm actually going to go with the Texans on this one, just because I think, Christian Watson is not really up. He's up and down. You don't know. We don't know what's going on with Dobbs because he's up in there. He's not. Is he in there? He's not. But I think the Texans are figuring it out. I think even though they don't have Nico Collins, they still have Tank Dell, who is got his first touchdown last week, and they've got Joe Mixon, who just came back from injury, and they got Stephon Diggs, and Stephon Diggs is starting to get some production and rhythm with this team. So I think they still have what they got. But I think this is going to be a very good game. It's going to be outside in the, probably the cool, cold air, which, Houston's in a dome. And even if they have the dome open, it's still hot. But I think it's not tundra cold enough. I think it's enough where CJ, remember from playing Ohio State, we got this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Texas on this one.
All right, so I got the Green Bay Packers, and you're going with the Houston Texans. Now, the NFL London series, Jaguars playing back in London for the second week in a row, where they were kind of shellacked by the Chicago Bears last week. This is a place that's the place where the Jags have played pretty well. Was not the case last week. Will it be any different against the New England Patriots? JJ, what are your thoughts on this game, and who do you have winning?
Oh, this is a very ugly game, honestly. Like it's just ugly to me, and it's teams that I would think at this point in time they didn't think they would be literally having the same record. Like I didn't think they would think like I think New England was like, oh my gosh, I kind of they kind of thought there was going to be a struggle, but Jacksonville. It's interesting that Jacksonville's line is so high because they've struggled. They've had problems, and I think there's.
I'm pretty surprised too.
I think ETN is hurt now. And I think he got hurt this last game, and that's a big weapon for them. And I know they got Bixby, but
yeah,
I can't stand picking these games because these games are just like. But I love football, so I'm gonna go with the. They gotta get this victory. This is your home away from home. I gotta go with Jacksonville, but I would never touch that spread. Would never touch that.
Yeah, no, I don't think I would either. But when you look at games like this, the Jaguars have really been struggling. Their defense has been terrible. Trevor Lawrence, he's up and he's down, and he's up and he's down, and he's up and he's down. Where's the consistency with this team? It just doesn't seem like the Jags have any identity or know, what they want to do on the offensive side of the ball. So it's just kind of looking a little messy over there. So I'm actually going to pick the Patriots. And these are games where you're not really looking at who's on the field or the talent. You're just kind of going off of something I like to call franchise mojo. And it's like, which one of these teams has the it factor that knows how to win games? And that's the New England Patriots for me. So I think just because of the franchise they are, they're going to show up and they're going to win. And the Jags are going to drop their second in a row in London. As we said, they play extremely well there throughout the last few years, but not this year. I think the Patriots win this one. Moving on to the next game, the Tennessee Titans at the Buffalo Bills, with the Buffalo Bills acquiring Amari Cooper, boost for the passing game, and Josh Allen for Buffalo. JJ, who you got winning this one, and how are you feeling about the acquisition of Amari Cooper to the Bills?
I ain't trying to be. I am not trying to be shady and stuff, but it's so funny because when an elite receiver leaves, 6 weeks in, they bring it back, and it's like life is a little different when you don't have that automatic go-to target that you can have. Some other quarterbacks in this game have experienced that their entire careers and have still been able to still progress and dominate and do well. So it was just interesting to see that trade because it's like, I'm happy for them. You get somebody for him. But I think this should also be a nice little understanding to know, like, okay, all right, maybe we could look at our previous analysis of these, certain quarterbacks and be like, you know what? That guy actually did do something without this. And so I got to give him his credit because there it is. So it's just funny because they got him a wide receiver quick. And it was one of those things, I don't know if it was reactionary to the Jets and everything, but it definitely was one of those things that they were looking for because that was missing. And then I was actually just listening to Speak Up. Not Speak Up.
Speak for yourself.
Post, they were sitting there saying, like, since the tight coverage on the Ravens, teams are kind of playing up on them. Houston got them. They beat the Jets, but it wasn't easy. We'll see. It's good for them. As far as this game, they're facing the Browns, right?
They play the Tennessee Titans.
Tennessee's defense is strong. Tennessee's defense is pretty good. I don't know if Amari's playing this game. He might, but if he doesn't, I think the Bills. I'm only going to go with them just because haven't seen enough of Tennessee's offense. But I think if I had seen enough, like a decent offense or an offense that can score like 17 points or something like that, I would actually take the Titans over the Bills. But I don't see that because
No.
I know Tennessee's defense is going to show up. They are a very strong unit. They're actually the best part of that team. But I don't trust their offense. I'm going to go with the Bills on this one. That is a very high spread.
No, it definitely is, and we know how you feel about those type of spreads. But I think the key factor for this game, last game, James Cook was out. I think James Cook is the X factor for the Buffalo Bills. I don't think they're the same team when he's not there. And the addition of Amari Cooper is interesting. He hasn't been having the season that, you know, people I think are, it's kind of misleading. He is leading the NFL in drops. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. The Browns are a dysfunctional team. We've talked about Deshaun Watson and the whole situation on the show so many times. So we'll see how he meshes better with Buffalo. I do think it's a good pickup. You still got Shakir there and the rookie Keon Coleman. So some nice pieces for the Buffalo Bills. It looks good in theory. Let's see how it looks on the field. But with that said, I think they should handle business at home. They're the better team. They're playing at home. There's no reason that I see them losing to the Tennessee Titans. I just don't think the Titans have any continuity or consistency on offense. They got some players. You got Tony Pollard. You got Calvin Ridley. But Will Levis just can't seem to figure it out. So I will also take the Buffalo Bills to win this one. Next, we got the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the New York Giants at MetLife Stadium. First game for Saquon Barkley as an Eagles player going to MetLife Stadium where he played the first few years of his career. So you're looking at him to come in there and make a good performance. Had 18 carries for 47 yards against the Cleveland Browns. So they definitely were trying to get him involved in the game. He just couldn't make those make or break plays that we've been accustomed to seeing him make. But that game was more about A.J. Brown. So when A.J. Brown is in the lineup, as we see, the Eagles offense operates completely differently. So I feel that that's the X factor of this game. Saquon Barkley is going to be the headliner. They're going to try to get on the ball. He's going against his former team. But I feel like at some point they're going to be too focused on Saquon, and then that's when A.J. Brown is going to make a play, as we saw him do against the Cleveland Browns. So looking at the game, I really think the Eagles should win this game and be dominant, but the coaching has been in disarray, and we're going to talk about Sirianni this week on the Gauntlet for sure. But the way he's handling himself is just not very good. The way he's coaching the team has just not been good. So that's where I think the Giants could have an advantage, unless Sirianni cleans up the mistakes that he's made. But I think the Eagles should absolutely win this game. If they don't, I think we have a serious problem. But we'll talk about that when the time comes. JJ, what do you think about this game, and who do you think wins?
Give me two things real quick that Sirianni has done that makes you think that he's lost it. I know you said the fans and going back
The
to
situation with the fans, and just the fact that he's been criticized for doing the same thing. And people have talked about taking the points and situational football, always going for it. How many points did he leave on the board against the Atlanta Falcons? You thought he would learn something from the game. Nope, he didn't. Next game against the Saints, even though they won the game, a lot of points left on the board. He's not really adjusting and, learning from past mistakes. And then whatever he did last week, that's just unacceptable. That's not how you conduct yourself as the face of a team. You don't see John Harbaugh doing this. You don't see Andy Reid and these other coaches doing that to your home fans that are supposed to be supporting you. So that's why I just have a problem with it. I'll get more in depth with it on Friday, but now I'll just leave it there.
Yeah, I'm curious to know about the fans thing because I do agree with you as when you say your fans are here to support you and stuff. But we also know that fans are arrogant and fans can say some things that could be a little bit out of pocket. So I'm looking forward to on the Gauntlet for maybe to dive in. Hopefully that there's more information about what was actually said because people have breaking points. And it's like it's almost like if you know you've had a horrible, you've been already up against the wall at your job or whatever, which is probably the case because we live in a world that reacts to what the media says about you. When someone probably comes at you, sometimes you snap, and it's like it's not acceptable, but at the same time, it's like, bro, if you was in the same situation, you would have done the same thing. So let's not act as if you were completely innocent in this. But I don't know the whole story, and I'm looking forward to hear you talk about it. I will say the reason why I asked that question is because I feel as if you guys do lose this game, he very well could be fired. Because it's not
I
only
wouldn't be
you're
surprised.
losing a game to a team that you actually are better than roster wise and record wise, and it's a team that doesn't even have their best weapon on offense because he's been hurt. And it's like this is a team that you need to beat. This is a divisional opponent, and it's now the bottom of the barrel division opponent. It's the bottom of the division. And
Yep.
typically, you've seen coaches get fired when they've had losses to teams that everybody expects them to beat, and it's one of those things where it's like, all right, enough is enough. This is crazy, but I'm gonna take y'all because you guys are better. And yes, fans, y'all ain't noticed, but my man James over here been getting on me lately about this communication with AJ Brown, baby. That's my boy. I rock with him hardcore with this, but I will say, as we said last week on the Gauntlet, when you win, it can start pushing that anger, that anxiety, that's annoyance away because you're winning. So
Yeah.
we'll see. I think when AJ's around, people are like, "Oh my gosh, we actually can move. Oh my gosh, we can actually score in the off on the in the red zone." Saquon, waiting for you, buddy. I hope you have a good game this week because I know you really didn't want to leave New York. I know you really didn't want to, but you realized that you had to for you to continue to live and have the career that you have always said you wanted for yourself. So I think you're going. I think they're going to show up, but you better win this game, though. That's all I know.
You better win this game. And next up, we got the Lions going to Minnesota to take on the Vikings. For 2.5-point favorites at home. The Detroit Lions absolutely destroyed the Cowboys in that game Sunday. They looked like they're really hitting on all cylinders, but Minnesota's looked really good and Sam Darnold's looked good. I think this is where we're going to start to see Minnesota take a little bit of a step back. I do know that Aiden Hutchinson's going to be out for a while, so that's going to impact the defense. But I'm putting my trust in Jared Goff and Amon St. Brown. And obviously Montgomery's kind of just been the X factor for them. Physical guy and runs the rock really well. And then you also got Gibbs who can catch it out of the backfield and Laporta. So they got so many weapons out there. And then on the other side, Justin Jefferson is a guy that we just can't ignore. He's the best receiver in the league, arguably. Should be a high-scoring game, I think, but I'm going to take the Lions by a touchdown.
I'm going to take the Lions too because I do know that while Minnesota is a strong team and their defense head by I think it's Mike. I forgot who their defensive coordinator is. I want to say it's Brian Flores.
Yes, it is.
Sure. So while he heads up a very strong defense, the best way to stop your pass rush is a great offensive line. And Detroit has arguably the best offensive line in football. And so for me, I honestly think that the Lions are going to win this game. And I think the Lions are actually going to win pretty, not dominant, but I think they're going to be in control most of the game because they're rolling all cylinders. They know who they are. They're arguably the best offense in football, and they have so many different ways to beat you that while Minnesota is very formidable, now it probably is going to be a high-scoring game because we have to see Detroit without Aiden. We have to see him without Aiden, and we know that while they have made incrementally got better, with Aiden, it's significantly better. And if
it's definitely going to leave a mark.
And if you can't get to the quarterback, we have seen that this team has been in shootouts that they couldn't cash in. I think about Green Bay last year. And so it's like, I think Detroit's going to win this game, but, they're going to be comfortable. But I think, we're going to see some things.
Yeah. And Grizz says, putting your trust in Jared Goff is not really something that I thought I would ever be saying. Not really, but I got to give it to Jared. He's definitely had a resurgence ever since he went down there. He's done a good job. So we'll have to see if that continues this week. Next game, we got the Seattle Seahawks taking on the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons have been pretty impressive this season. Seattle kind of starting to falter a little bit after that hot start that they had. JJ, what do you see in this matchup, and who do you have winning?
Oh, I'm gonna go with the Falcons.
It's a tough one.
Actually, I'm starting to watch them, and I'm starting to think I like their defense. I think Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback and has enough weapons around him to use them to really win this game. I love my former coach Mike McDonald. I love him, I do, but I think that while they're talented, we're coming back to earth. Their division, to be honest with you, is anybody's game. The way that the NFC West is like. But I think the NFC South, I think the Falcons is going to be the team with the Buccaneers that's going to be competing to win that division. So I got Atlanta on this one.
Yeah, and I gotta say that the other running back on the Atlanta Falcons, Tyler Algier. Yeah, really good game against the Carolina Panthers last week. So I think that's kind of what I'm looking at. Like, how well can they run the ball? If they get a good running game, it's going to make it easy for Kirk Cousins to just sit back in the pocket, throw it to Drake London, throw it to Kyle Pitts, and also Darnell Mooney. That's actually had a couple good games this season as well. So you can't forget about him. I like the Falcons' weapons. I like what they're doing, and they're playing at home. It's a West Coast or East Coast trip for Seattle, flying all the way around to the East Coast. Got to adjust to the time. There's you have jet lag and all sorts of things that you got to take into account as well. That's why, especially in an early window game, like a 1:00 game, that's where you kind of start to see teams be a little bit sluggish, whether they go to East Coast to the West Coast or West to the East. So I will take the Atlanta Falcons playing at home. Next game, we got the Cleveland Browns taking on the Cincinnati Bengals in an AFC North game. Now, the Bengals have really struggled against Cleveland. But, JJ, you know these teams. You're in the AFC North with the Ravens. What's going on with these teams? They're not really meeting expectations this year. And do you think there's something to be said about that? And who do you have winning this game?
Well, they were always behind my team, but yet people were trying so hard to put them above my team. So nothing that's really happening, them being behind, I will say Cincinnati may have surprised me and Cleveland to a degree, but they are the Ohio teams. And once again, the Ohio teams are having a struggle to keep up with the teams in their conference that reside in Pennsylvania and Maryland. Now, the Bengals, offense is awesome, but if you even look at the years when they were doing great as a team, their defense was a defense you could still get off on. We used to always give them credit because they would make that big play that would allow their offense to take over. Trey Hendrickson, Logan Wilson would make a couple plays, or maybe Von Bell or Jesse Bates before he left would make a couple plays, and then people would be like, oh yeah. People go gaga for these teams, but these teams are good, but they are also very much carried by specific players. And if you can show that you can handle those players in a fashion or still get off on expose their weakness, you can beat them. Now, they're in a much better position, in my opinion, than Cleveland because Cleveland is just bad. we are definitely going to be on opposite sides of this. I really would give Kevin a chance before I would give Deshaun. Just because whenever he has not had Deshaun, the team looked different. The team was moving the football. And I know, as a man that is going through my own journey and learning things, I know what energies can do to you when they're negative. Yeah. I know when you're dealing with a new accusation of sexual assault, and not even just that, it's the court of public opinion too. It's what people say about you when they talk to you. It's how women probably might be rejecting him or feeling some type of way about him. It's all of this is compounded on now having to be an elite guy because you have $250 million up on your back. He's not there. I don't think Deshaun is happy. I don't think he wants to be there. I mean, I don't think he. I think if he had it his way, he really would walk away because I don't think that it's
You
easy
mean
to.
walk away from football?
I think if he could turn the clock, I think he is having those revelations. Like, yeah, I'm putting up with this. I do, but it's like I hope I don't lose it because you're being bad. It's only a matter of time, and you're being bad. What's going to happen? We just talked about Sirianni and fans. Imagine if a fan or people, multiple people, you know how nasty they can get, could say to a guy when he has all this on his back. I could see that situation coming to pass. I could see him getting off. So because of that, I will say I will give it to Cincinnati, even
Okay.
though I don't think both teams should feel good about anything about them where they are. I think a lot of times the media, because we love Burrow, we gloss over. We just say, as long as you got Burrow, we can get this, we can get this. You had Burrow playing well and still lost to the New York Giants. Your defense is a problem. And if your team can show how stunt that offense just maybe one or two possessions, you can lose. So they're not as great as people want to claim them to be because they love Burrow. They have a team that needs work. And I'm going to go Cincinnati, though.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the only reason I talk about Stefanski is you saw what happened in the playoff game against the Houston Texans. They were absolutely ran out of the water. And then if you follow that up and you go with like a 1-15 season or something like that, you know, how many coaches would still get an opportunity to keep their job? But I do agree that Deshaun Watson is definitely a big problem for this team and big reason why they're not winning games. So I'm
So
also gonna
Ninetail
yeah.
Hedgehog, sorry to chime in. Ninetail Hedgehog made a comment. I get the joke. It's a funny joke that he doesn't know consent, but there's some real scary things thinking about when you deal with something like this in your mind. Like we all
Yeah.
have been in dark places whenever we've had our life. He's not happy because this is some real stuff. This is not stuff that can just affect him on the football field. This could affect him for the rest of his life. People have been crazy enough to attack people for things like this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like it's darkness. There's a lot of
With
darkness
that
that
being said, though, I will take Cincinnati. I look at how
wow.
Cleveland has played. They're the only team in the league that hasn't scored 20 points in a game this season. If you can't score 20 points, then I just don't know. I just don't know. Deshaun Watson can't really seem to figure it out, and the Browns can't really figure it out. So I will take the Bengals in this one. Next game. Miami Dolphins taking on the Indianapolis Colts. Another game without Tua, I think. So the Miami Dolphins they cannot do anything without Tua Tagovailoa. They tried different quarterbacks. They tried Tyler Huntley, the former Raven. They've tried with Skylar Thompson. But no matter what they do, they just can't really do anything offensively. And it's just kind of interesting. Even without your quarterback, you still have a lot of these guys that are, elite weapons. We heard about Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle as the best receiver duo in the league, arguably. People made the argument for those guys, but I just think it's been a struggle for them. And because of that, I will take the Indianapolis Colts playing at home. I think the Colts get it done. Close one, probably an ugly one, but I'll take Indianapolis.
Okay. This is a team. I'm gonna take the Colts as well. And because this is a team that Flacco knows well. This is a team that Flacco has played throughout his career. And while he's had some losses in recent years, he's typically been pretty good with it. Joe, that's as much as he had put me through so much down. I love Joe. He's always going to have a special place in my heart, and I'm happy to see that he is still connecting. And I know the one thing that I will say that give him advantage to win this game is that he's going to take shots down the field. He's going to take chances, which you want a quarterback to do. If you don't have your starting quarterback and your best weapons out there, you want somebody that's going to at least try to get your offense moving, and he's going to do that. And I think he's going to do it enough to beat these these Miami Dolphins. Wyatt has Joe. And Nine-Tailed Hedgehog, you good, man. There's nothing to apologize for. You ain't got Joe. It's just one of those things that was just like, okay, I get it. I get it. But as far as Wyatt knows, Joe has bad moments, but then Joe has moments where you're just like, all right, yeah. And I think this is it. I think this is it.
All right, so we're both going to take the Indianapolis Colts in this one. Next game, we got the Carolina Panthers taking on the Washington Commanders coming off the loss in that tight game against the Baltimore Ravens last week. Jaden Daniels still playing at a high level. Commanders still looking like a good team, man. And I have to say, as of today, they do look like they're the best team in the division. So is that going to still hold up? Or will the Eagles get their act together? Nobody knows as of today. So I will take the Commanders. The Carolina Panthers are in disarray. They just don't do anything well at all. Like there's not a single thing that you can look at except for one game against the Raiders, which might be more of an indictment on the Raiders than credit to the Panthers. But what does this team even do? They don't do anything. As Jay joins us fresh off of Confidential. What's up, Jay?
Hey, what up, man? What's going on? I got it as fast as I could. What we got on
Yes,
their
sir.
screen, man? Panthers, Commanders? Oh, boy.
Panthers versus Commanders. But with that said, I got the Commanders. Jay, who you got?
I don't know
Or should I even
anyone.
ask?
I don't know anyone outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. Charlotte, North Carolina don't even got the Panthers. So I'm going to say Commanders to cover. You know, I was watching, who was it that said that they're waiting to see how Jaden Daniels bounces back after a loss. He had a close loss at the Ravens, played a great game and everything. But yeah, this is definitely the bounce back game. Commanders can't let the Panthers do it to them. Commanders 28-10.
Gotcha. All right, JJ, we both got the Commanders. What do you say?
Oh, it's cute. The team that everybody thought had a chance to really beat my team is going up against these Panthers. That is so adorable. Our little brothers are facing the Carolina Panthers. Yes, I love them. They're so cute. But anyway, I'm going to take the Commanders in this one because I do like Jaden Daniels. I do think that they have they have an offense. And Scary Terry is an elite wide receiver. His route running is amazing. I'm going to give them that. I don't think the Panthers are actually a team that you can look at now and just be like, all right, we'll roll over them, because I think Andy Dalton is the type of quarterback that while he may struggle, if you start thinking you're going to crush him, he might surprise you. But I don't think it's going to be this game. So I got the Commanders, the little brothers, to do the thing and win.
Gotcha. So since we got a little
I got
bit,
three little brothers.
before we keep going, I'm actually gonna rewind us a little bit just because I want to get Jay's take on the Texans and the Packers. Jay, you missed it earlier, but JJ has the Texans while I have the Packers.
Remix.
Okay. Okay, tough opponent on the road. I have the Texans winning this. Of course, I have to, kind of stick with my squad here. But, however, I won't be heartbroken if we do drop the game. I had the Texans at about 11 or 12 wins this season. So if
you drop that game,
if we were to drop, one of those, what is it, 5 or 6 games, this would be one of them, even in a close affair. If the Texans come out there and play a near flawless game, I can see the Texans winning this one by a field goal. I'm going to say 27-24. And that's what I'll go with. Probably a defensive stop by the Texans late in the ball game.
Don't worry, Jay. You got a loss coming next in a couple weeks.
All right. So appreciate you, Jay, for giving us your take on your team.
James, you got a loss coming in a couple weeks too. So stop.
Hey, man, if they don't figure out what's going on with Sirianni, I might have a few coming up.
I'm just messing with y'all.
Raiders versus the Rams. Raiders fresh off the Davante Adams trade, which we'll be talking about that on Friday on the show. Don't miss it. Friday live at 8 p.m. on Sideline Sports. So, guys, the Raiders and the Rams. I'm going to take the Rams. I just think the Raiders are already playing for next year. And this organization needs a lot of help. They just need to cleanse everything out. I think they need a new GM. I think they need a head coach, and they absolutely need a quarterback. They just don't have anything going for them. Matthew Stafford still playing at a really high level, and Sean McVay, one of the best coaches in the league. You can't really bet against this guy. So I'm going to take the Rams. Jay, what say you?
Rams. Yeah, this is going to be the Rams' bounce back game themselves. And not only that, but seemingly the Rams need this win more than the Raiders for what exactly you just said. They're kind of playing, the Raiders are playing for next year. You know, they don't have a quarterback. I would say as far as the coach, I think before we pull the plug on him, we should give him a legit long-term starting quarterback and see how he does. That's just my opinion. But even a battered Rams squad should be able to get the win. Give me Rams 27-17.
I was about to say the man just got there. Good gracious, you want to get rid of him?
I mean, do you really think that Pierce is the best option? Let's say you can get somebody like Ben Johnson, who's doing prolific things with the Detroit Lions. If it were me, that's the direction the league is going, those type of offensive guys. I would bring him in, and then I would get a new GM that understands football, go get a quarterback, and I would try to build the team. That's what I would do if I was the Raiders.
If we know that they're in disarray, we don't really know the capabilities of Antonio Pierce with his structure. Just the nuances, you don't know what Ben Johnson's going to do. So at the end of the day, I'm not going to say no to Antonio Pierce because I don't know. I don't know what he can do because I haven't given him a sufficient chance. And I know the chance that he's getting. The team's changed. Our star wide receiver's gone.
They might give him another year.
But at the end of the day, I think if they do make that move and got to find somebody else, we might go through the same thing. This is at some point in time, It's got to click in our heads to give people some time. You got to give somebody a chance. How can you build a team if you're gone within 1 year? And I think it sends a bad message if they were to let him go after getting Devontae Adams. Now, he had a blunder with how he liked that post, but I think he was thinking as a player, but he deleted it. But that speaks to the organization of the Vegas Raiders because somebody should already be on that. Somebody should already be on that for him, which is I'm like, nah, bro, cool, but it's okay. At the end of the day, the Raiders are facing who again?
The Los Angeles Rams.
I'm going to go with the Rams, but I can see the Raiders winning because I think while the Stafford and them are playing well, and I'm like 2-2, but no Cooper, it's a lot. Corinne Williams is doing great, but I definitely am taking the Raiders to cover that. I'm sorry, I'm not taking no spread like that. But I got the Rams winning.
I'm not saying that the Raiders will not win another game this season, but I said it a few weeks ago. They blew their load when they beat the Ravens. That was their Super Bowl. So
you did say that.
It is what it is.
I think
we can just to close this out, I think we can all agree that the Raiders are an organization that needs work, and they will certainly be having their work cut out for them. Next, let's stay with the AFC West with the Kansas City Chiefs, one of the few undefeated teams left. Rematch of the Super Bowl heading to San Francisco or maybe Santa Clara, where they play their games against the San Francisco 49ers, who just haven't looked like the same 49ers that have been dominant the last couple of years. Brock Purdy really taking a step back. Christian McCaffrey, I know that Jordan Mason was playing well the first couple games, but I think we're starting to see the importance of Christian McCaffrey to this team. The longer he's out, the more issues that you start to see with the 49ers. But at the same time, the Kansas City Chiefs has also been struggling. And Patrick Mahomes is probably the worst start to his career in a season. Not really playing great football over there. So I think it's going to be a little bit of struggle on both sides. But because of the Chiefs just being who they are, they always figure a way to pull out something. It always comes down to a call. I hate to involve the refs in the conversation, but it does always feel like any time there's a tight game, there's always something that happens in the Chiefs' favor. So I think that's probably gonna continue. So I will take the Chiefs.
Actually, JJ, you go, and if only because right when I made this thread and I saw that line, I instantly thought of you. So I gotta hear from you, man. Is it a shock to you that the Niners are actually 1.5 point favorites?
Not really, but really. Does that make sense? Because I get it. Chiefs, they look. I think a lot of these spreads also are based off optics, how teams look, not just from their record. Because people are kind of dismissing their 5-0 record because they're saying like they haven't really looked great.
I don't think they
Even
have.
though I don't bet, that is an interesting spread. But they still have Kelsey. They still have Kareem Hunt, who actually had a pretty good game with them last time. And it is Mahomes.
Xavier Worthy.
Xavier Worthy, it is Mahomes. This is a team he's familiar with. He's seen the defense. He's that quarterback where it may not look pretty if you don't have the whole car at its full capacity, but it's going to still get you where you need to go, which is to a victory, despite, maybe a donut of a tire or, you got to drive 50 miles an hour so you don't blow the head gasket type situation. It's still there. They're still there. Their defense is strong. Brock Purdy, it is C-Mac. C-Mac's value is being shown in full display. It's being shown on full display because people don't realize things that don't show up on the scoreboard, and that's watching defenders slide to your side when you over there going out as a slot receiver.
Or the guy was offensive player of the year last year. McCaffrey.
Right. There's more to just the numbers that he's putting. It's how the defenses are playing you. When you're focusing on this one player to not get off, you have a George Kittle that's being able to open. You have an Ayuk that can hit a nice post. So they don't have that, and it's on full display. As far as this game, I'm going to take Kansas City out because I played him. I know what he's doing, and I know what he's going to do this year, even if it wasn't looking great. I don't really know if I can sit there and look at San Francisco and be like, all right, because I think they're a good team, but I often think they get this status of being this top-tier team that can be got. And I think the better teams in the league can get them. And I think Kansas City's one of them.
I'm going to go as far as saying that I, too, am not surprised that the Niners are actually home faves because I don't think anyone really had the Chiefs going 17-0. And if they were to drop their first game, it very well could be to the 49ers. So I'm not, mad at this. With that said, I'm taking Kansas City. Yes, I know Mahomes has 6 TDs and 6 INTs, but somehow they find a damn way to win. We can pretty much put it in the books that if the game comes down, this is the reason why I've always said for the last, I don't know how many something years, any coach will tell you, never put a game in the hands of the refs. If you come out there and blow your team out, it's a non-conversation, all right? If the game is close and it comes down to a call, the Chiefs, they seemingly walk away with the call in their favor. I actually saw an interesting stat the other week that said since 2018, Patrick Mahomes has the most nullified interceptions in the league with like 17. Now, people automatically may say, oh, well, there it is. The referees and the Chiefs. But
that's just a crazy stat.
It is. But half of those were actually free plays. The defense was offsides, and Mahomes threw an interception, and it got called back because of offsides. So, but no, Kelsey's still there. Worthy's still there. As long as 15 is behind center, they've always got a shot. Chiefs in a close one, 28-22.
Fellas, why is it so important to not turn the ball over, right? It's because you don't want to risk losing the game.
Right.
Right? You're undefeated, and he still turned the ball over, so it's not affecting you that much. You're still winning your game.
Right.
And it's like, yes, it sucks to turn the football over, but he's a 3-time Super Bowl champ. He's allowed to look human. He's allowed to look human. He's allowed to look human.
Especially when on the other side of the ball, you got Steve Spagnuolo. You're absolutely allowed to look human.
The MVP of that team.
Yeah. Go ahead, James.
I mean, the only thing I'll say about the line just before we move on, the line is just not that crazy, though. You know, usually when a team's playing at home, you'll see them get like 2.5,
3, yeah.
maybe 3, maybe 3.5. Like, the fact that it's 1.5 does kind of make me feel like it is slightly favoring the Chiefs, because the Chiefs would probably be favored if it was played on a neutral site.
Of course.
But it is what it is, guys. That's what the people that get paid for this kind of stuff does. But let's move on, man. Let's move on to our next game. We got Sunday Night Football. We got the New York Jets, who, as we see, another line it's basically the same line as the last game. 1.5 at the Steelers, who there's a little bit of controversy brewing with Mike Tomlin, you know, saying that Russell Wilson could start this game after the success that Justin Fields has had, leading them to a 4-2 record. Kind of crazy to think about it. And on the other side, the Jets have lost 3 in a row. They are 2-4. They did make the deal for Devontae Adams. I think this is a game that the Jets just absolutely have to win. So that's why I'll pick the Jets. He's got that familiarity with playing with Aaron Rodgers. You got Garrett Wilson. You got Breece Hall. You got the weapons there. So it's time for the Jets to put it all together. There's no more excuses for this team. If this team is going to meet the expectations and be a contender in the AFC and try to make a run to the Super Bowl, it cannot wait any longer. If they continue to drop games, they're just going to put themselves in a bigger hole. They can't afford to do that anymore, but it's going to be really tough to do it on the road. Pittsburgh, not an easy place to go down and win a football game. Very well coached with Tomlin there. Tough game, but the Jets got to have it, and I think they'll pull it out.
Oh, boy. At some point, when do the excuses stop? You're in the New York media. All the pressure's on you and such. If the Jets fail, they'll probably say, oh, we didn't have a head coach. Because before then, it was, well, we needed Devontae Adams. Rodgers needed to play better and such and such. Okay, well, now you got Devontae Adams. Now Robert Saleh's going, whether you agree with him getting out of there or not. But now it is showtime, okay? It's showtime, and you have a favorable-ish schedule in front of you, but understand, let's talk about the game at hand here. Russell Wilson, they're leaning more towards him starting on Sunday night. Whether that will be a mistake or not is yet to be
I don't
seen.
understand it.
Me personally, Fields has the momentum. Why take the keys out of his hand? But that's just me. I'm not.
You just got to think, like, how's the locker room going to feel about this after what Justin Fields has provided for this team? And then you just go back to Russell Wilson.
Based off of George Pickens' interview today, I don't think it's going to be that big of a difference for him.
Yeah.
For him, but what about the rest of the team?
I think
this team is riding with Justin Fields.
I understand what they're doing. I think it's chess, not checkers. And I understand why, because I think they're sitting there like, yes, Fields has played well. But when you are trying to look at the trajectory of your season and you have a player that's new to your team, you do look at what they did in the previous seasons, and Justin has been slowing down towards the end of the season. I think it's just to see if Russell can be competent enough to still be successful with this team, and maybe just in case down the line, if Justin does start to really struggle, we have confidence to know we can put this guy in. I don't think it's any indication I think it's indication like, okay, we brought both of these guys in. Our audition for the camp was to have Russell start, but it was going to be open competition. Russell got hurt. Justin took over. He's playing well, but if Russell was the ideal guy to start, then I think it's one of those things. It's like, you're just got to see what he's got to do. I don't think it's one of those things like, Justin, we don't believe in you. It's one of those things like, in case something happens or in case it doesn't go the way, we're going to do this. You might run 2 quarterback sets. You never know because it's been done before. But it's interesting. As far as the Jets, I didn't even know they had excuses because I thought everybody was considering them a contender if they just got healthy. But, I mean, I don't even think it's anything else. I didn't know that they had excuses because I think from what I've seen, there's always been people saying they need to play better. They need to do this. So the Jets are so funny. And when we were 0-2, the world was crashing, right? The world was crashing. You saw, get rid of this. Don't do this. Fire this. Fire this. What did we do? We did not do it. We buckled down and we got to our identity and we started winning games. The Jets did the complete opposite. Yeah. They're only within 2 games of their division. They're not like 6 games back. It's week 6. But because, and I feel like this is based off ego, because when you had Aaron Rodgers and he's healthy, you might have got to talking. You might have got to talking to your peoples and everything, talking about we about to run it. And then when it didn't go well, your ego and pride is like, all right, as opposed to just sitting there saying, I messed up for talking too much, I got to pass somebody else out and flame them out. And that's where Robert Sutler came in. All that said, I am going to take the Jets to beat them because Aaron, I know I will trust Aaron against the Pittsburgh Steelers because he's done it before and it's a defense he has seen. And I think there's just enough on that team to overcome. Beat them for me. Simon Stout.
And I'm going to take the Jets in this one. I'll say Jets 20-17. And now is the time because you've got the Dolphins with no Tua and you got the Patriots, okay? So now's your time to get Nick. You already dropped one to the Bills, okay? But all you can do at this point is just
keep pace.
Keep pace. Keep neck and neck with the Bills, you know? But this is it. This is the time to do it. This is the time to cash in.
But here's the thing. Last thing before we move on, because we only got 2 more games left. Here's the thing about this. Buffalo's got the Titans. They got the Steelers. And it's on the road. So if they lose this game and Buffalo wins another game, Buffalo's starting to get that separation. And that's just where I think it becomes really dangerous for the Jets.
Right.
All right, so let's go on to the Baltimore Ravens.
Doubleheader.
Represented by our man JJ, going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who put up 50 on the New Orleans Saints. So I remember a couple weeks ago we were on here talking about the Saints and saying, oh, this team's actually pretty good. They haven't won a game since then. So I'll take responsibility for that one. Right. So JJ, I'm going to turn it over to you. Tell me about your team and what do you see in this matchup and who you got winning? Or should I even ask that question?
Yeah, I probably shouldn't ask that question because my confidence is my team coming in is high, and even throughout the season it's been high. All right, you got the Baltimore Ravens. They're in gear, getting in gear. Their offense is flowing. Their offense could arguably, with the Detroit Lions, be the best in football. You have a quarterback that is playing arguably as the best, if not top 2, hands down. And you do have an NFC opponent where you have the guy that at the health center is only lost 1 time. And in that 1 loss against that NFC team, they could have won and they were up and they had to come back from behind. So it's not as if they were like getting blown out. The Bucs are strong. The Bucs are very good. They have a great offense. I know their offense is going to get off. The only thing I want my team defense to do, and they did it last against Cincinnati, and they did it again, is get a turnover. Because the offense is going to be the driving force of this team. Because as of right now, the offensive line is playing great. Derrick Henry and Lamar are looking fantastic. Lamar is dealing. He's going back home to Florida. Whenever he likes to go, he has a tendency to like to go back to Florida and play. He does kind of enjoy that. So I mean, the Buccaneers are strong, and I think they're a very good team. But I think the Ravens, they're like, okay. When I look at my team and I look at what my quarterback talks about, and it's like I look at him focusing on the MEs, mental errors are what really makes a game go left when it comes to X's and O's between teams that are equally as talented. So okay. I got them winning this game. I actually think we're going to do pretty good, and I've got them winning this game 35-24. All
right, I'll take it. man, I think this is going to be a good game. But I don't trust the Ravens defense. And I like the way Baker Mayfield is playing football right now. So I'll take the Buccaneers 27-24. Jay, you got it.
Oh,
I'm gonna
boy.
write that down.
The
Please do.
Buccaneers. Well, I'll tell you this much. Because the AFC North, in my humble opinion, is still the Ravens' division to lose. But more damage will happen to the Buccaneers if they lose this game than the Ravens. The Ravens will be fine. Ravens will probably go 5-1 in their division. But even in the weak NFC South, I think the Buccaneers need this game more than the Ravens. I'm going to take the Bucs. Give me the Bucs 28-24.
So write
Not
that
the
one down.
Heisman.
Hey, don't just write me down, JJ. You better write both of them down. All right.
I'm not
Moving
writing
on.
it down. I'm just laughing.
Moving on. Chargers versus the Cardinals.
Last game.
Are the Chargers going to Charger or are the Cardinals going to do whatever it is they do? I don't know. These are two unpredictable teams. Like there's so many times I see the Cardinals play. And I'm like, man, you know what? Maybe this team is actually better than we think. And then they win, and then the next week they look like trash. And then they win, and they're trash. And I also think that Marvin Harrison Jr. is hurt. So he's expected to miss this game as well. That's definitely going to impact Kyler Murray. I'll take the Chargers.
Oh, yeah, real quick. I'm going to take the Chargers in this one, but I wouldn't be shocked if the Cardinals still found a way to keep it close. It's Monday Night Football. They're at home. But ultimately, Chargers come out with the win. I expect the running game to get off. We'll say 29-23 Chargers.
I
JJ?
got a comment up for Grizz. He says Chargers wins. Black Ops is coming out soon, so Kyler's stats are going to drop. There actually was a stat that showed every year where the Call of Duty came out, it affected Kyler Murray's stats. Like around October, November is where it starts to dip a little bit. But this type of matchup is what Dom always says about the Chargers. Like when they're supposed to win these type of games, they
Yeah.
usually do something. And that's what chargering is. So, JJ, are the Chargers charging or not?
Chargers going to Charger. Dom's going to realize it might become a thing of the past because the coach that they have ain't a Charger going to Charger type of coach. Last time I checked, Jim Harbaugh knows how to play and knows how to game time decisions to get where he needs to go. And so I think the Charger going Charger thing is going to slowly start to go away over the years because can't nobody look at Jim Harbaugh and tell me that he can't sit there and win a game. Or can't nobody tell me Harbaugh don't know what it takes to turn a team around. And I got the Chargers winning this one because I think Arizona is good, but my brother is strong. My brother is tough. My brother's got a team that is actually not having a big-time receiver, still winning the games. I got them getting them.
All right, guys, that does it for us for tonight. But we all picking the Chargers, so if something happens, that is the charging. But JJ says charging could be a thing in the past. We'll have to circle back to this on next week's edition of Picked Off. In the meantime, please tune in next week for the next episode of the Gauntlet. Definitely going to have a great show planned for you guys. We'll see you next time.
See you later, guys.
Yeah. Sorry, I got something popping up on my screen, so I can't end it.